Hi, I'm Mary Lindsay Wilson, and welcome to the Lone Star Dowsers. And tonight, you are in for a treat. We have the lovely Rachel Vaughan, all the way from Australia. Um, so if you don't know her, you're going to have the opportunity to get to know her. So Rachel is a whistleblower. She's a researcher, she's a public speaker, and she's a childhood survivor of satanic ritual abuse and MK Ultra mind control programming. She's also a psychic medium with 21 years of professional reading experience, as well as a lifetime of interactions with the spirit world. She continues to fight for justice, both for herself and for those unable to speak for themselves. Rachel has spent the last 18 years imploring Australian authorities to investigate the satanic cult who abused her as a child in the 70s and the 80s. An eternal optimist, Rachel maintains that we are immortal souls having a human experience who can attain peace and success despite our trauma. Over the past 4 years, Rachel has become acutely aware of the large swath of humanity experiencing a spiritual ascension. I think a lot of us can relate to this. During this process, she sees that many incarnate souls have come to understand the depth of depravity of those who held power on the earth for millennia. That is changing. She passionately believes that the current ascension process of the earth is fueled by humanity's collective spiritual awakening, and that it can facilitate a change from the current satanic system into something that we'll be proud to pass on to our children and our grandchildren. It's a big part of the ascension process that involves balancing the Earth's energies with the ley lines of our planet. So tonight we're really going to talk about ley lines and this incredible project that Rachel is involved in called the Lay Love Down movement. Anyway, welcome, Rachel. We're so glad to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Mary. This is the exciting part of my life. I had a very difficult childhood, and the last 18 years I've worked very, very hard and put my career sort of in sort of the back burner, put it behind me. But I've felt this full-on need now to speak about what is my passion, which is actually helping people to find their psychic abilities, find out why they're here, what their sole purpose is for being here, for incarnating, so that they can live through this incredible time. Because at the end of this year, in December, we come into permanent harmony time with the ley lines, the
So now, what
portals.
does permanent harmony time mean?
So basically, according to Rory Duff, who's a bit of a hero of mine, and he's a geobiologist who he uses all sorts of tools to map the lays and to talk about what their significance. He has spoken with Pam Gregory, an astrologer that I love to watch on YouTube recently, about. So the ley lines normally harmonize at the equinoxes and solstices. So we're talking the 21st of March, June, September, and December. And normally they would harmonize for hours or days at a time. Apparently in December, this harmony time that would normally happen at the solstices and equinoxes happens permanently. And to me, I haven't heard Rory speak of this, but to me as a psychic, and I've been working as a psychic since a child, because I was brought into the MK Ultra program to be studied in that way. When I heard him say that, that was just an instantaneous, oh my God, these people that keep talking about us going into the fifth dimension, that is it. I always thought it was a bit of a fairy tale. I didn't understand it. It was just an instantaneous that this is it. We're going into it. So that's from December. And I have seen so many people, because I read for people and read their auras, I've seen this incredible awakening process, ascension process with most of my clients who've gone up levels in the last 4 years. And most people would go up a level in a lifetime if they're lucky. So we go up, we ascend in soul frequency, depending on how many incarnations we've had, what experiences we've had, our choices in those experiences. If we make a lot of decisions that are very selfish, we'll end up going down in soul frequency. If we make very positive, altruistic choices, we go up in soul frequency. The number of souls that are getting to really high soul frequencies at the moment on this earth are astonishing, truly astonishing. So this is my passion. My passion's not really talking about the horrible things that happened to me as a child, although that's how I've come out publicly. And that's because I'm incredibly stubborn. I mean, I started talking about what happened to me as a child with authorities in 2006. I have two siblings who did the same thing. One of those siblings was successful in having a conviction against his abuser, one of many of our father's friends who were abusers. And we've just worked in those last 18 years, the three of us, to bring this stuff out. They finally acknowledged that, yes, our father was involved in a very famous case of the disappearance of the Beaumont children. A major crime detective has finally admitted that. They know our father was involved, not only in their disappearance, but in their murder. But the reason for not being able to actually dig up the property where they're buried, my father's former property, my father has died, is because of a suppression order on an inquiry into the disappearance and murders of state wards in my state of South Australia. Now, the terms of reference of that inquiry do not cover children like the Beaumont children, which proves that the other sacrifices is the only way I can describe it, murders that we witnessed, the three of us, and have talked to authorities about and spoken about publicly, of state wards that our father was also involved in, and his whole group. That is also true, because they will not dig up the property knowing that there are other remains there. I had the misfortune of being forced to go into one of the sinkholes through a long skinny tunnel that took the water through the gully underground to the ocean that my father was aware of. He had to dig down in the sand to find the opening. He took me in there to show me that there was a whole wall of little skulls, like a fence of skulls. And as a 5-year-old, I couldn't count that high, but it would have been about 50. So he kept trophies.
That's incredible. And it's incredibly courageous for you to share your story and to be fighting for justice and to say this is not okay. And sadly, you and I were talking earlier, and I think this is way more common than people want to acknowledge or even realize
Yes,
that
unfortunately.
that they're, yeah. And I don't know if you want to just say a few words about MK Ultra, but I think there's a lot of people that have been, and experienced that.
So, I mean, a lot of people have woken up in the last 4 years to the fact that when we watch a television program, we're being programmed. And the word television is tell, lie, vision, telling lies through visual techniques. So the entire media, mainstream media, and the programming that we watch is literally programming. That's what the MK Ultra program was learning to do by experimenting on people like myself, the experiments in the Second and First World War. There were Nazi experiments that were absolutely obsessed with this sort of work. So people say that the MK Ultra program sort of began in the Second World War, but it probably began hundreds of years ago. I think they've been studying us for a very, very long time. So some of my earliest memories were being held up by my father so that people in white suits or white coats, so men in white coats, and women, were holding up these interesting cards that had black marks on them. And I had a dummy at the time. I was so small. I was non-verbal, pre-verbal. I wasn't speaking yet, but I would point to whichever card the person in the next room was looking at. And people have told me they're probably Xena cards. So that was one of my first memories of being psychically trained. The training got harder and more
So you
awful.
probably had a propensity for being psychic, and they just helped to really bring that skill out.
Exactly. So there's psychic ability on both sides of my family. I am from the Kennedy bloodline. So there are 13 Illuminati bloodlines that are particularly, it's interesting because they all experiment on themselves, on each other and on themselves and on the populace. But those in those bloodline families get MK Ultra to the nth degree, and I was one of them. So because of my eye color, also I have what's called central heterochromia. So my irises. So for people who have this coloration, there's also full heterochromia. And if you look at Hollywood stars, the really high level ones, they've either got full or central heterochromia. So Full heterochromia is where you have two different colored eyes. One might be green, one might be brown, blue or green. Central heterochromia is where you'll have a different color around the pupil to the rest of the iris. This is as plain as the eyes on the face, proving that that particular individual has some sort of psychic ability. And this goes way back to the Hindu religion, and they've believed this for centuries, that, or probably thousands of years, that people with these eye colors have this ability to commune with God, read auras, have communications with spirit guides, see the future, those sorts of things. So the Nazis were aware of this. They were experimenting on the Romanian gypsies in the Second World War, in the concentration camps, with this eye color. They also experimented on changing eye color, but some of the experiments that you see are the ones that are just about the eye color changing experiments. And there's literal experiments you can pick, you can find them on the internet. The ones that were more about the occult stuff are better hidden, but they're definitely there. Interestingly too, I just like to always mention that they were using fluoride in the water in the concentration camps to dumb down people, to keep them docile. And they certainly weren't concerned about the health of their teeth. So that's something that, you know, as a psychic, I like to, every time I speak to someone on, you know, in a public way, I like to point this out, because fluoride is not for your teeth. It's to calcify the pineal gland, which prevents it from working as well on a psychic level. That is your Wi-Fi, that is your antenna, and you need to take really good care of it. And there's a whole swathe of health issues that it causes when it's calcified. You know, you don't produce the right levels of melatonin and other secretions, so you don't sleep properly. Yeah, fluoride is dangerous. Yeah, so I was trained from an early age. My father I could remote view from an early age as well. So my father would ask me what people were doing. He would get me to spy on them remotely. He would ask me what color they were. Now, I've always seen auras around people, and I learnt from a very early age. That was one of my ways of trying to stay safe. Didn't really work, but I could tell from someone's aura whether or not they were going to hurt me or not hurt me, or whether or not they wanted to hurt me, or they were hurting me because they were being told they had to hurt me. And my father picked up on this very early on, and he would use that. He would find out from me who was good, essentially, and who was bad. And I use that technique now just to help people to find out what their soul purpose is, because when you have a certain soul frequency, you are a healer, or you're an orator, or you're supposed to be an inspirer of others, or, you know, there's a whole gamut of vocations that come with, and soul purposes that come with those frequencies. So again, this is my passion. This is what gets me excited and gets me happy. The reason that I'm so passionate about the earth energy lines, I've been photographing ley lines because they are visible.
Well, hang on. So let's just clarify for people who might not know, what is a ley line?
All right, so ley lines are magnetic frequencies that come from that they're like the meridians of the earth. Where they cross, you get powerful nodes, vortexes, portals. Different people call them different things. I call them portals because that's all the naming that I was always used to. Where they cross, you get these incredible, powerful energy spots. Now, people in secret societies have known the significance of these energy spots for a very, very long time, and they have done some really horrendous things in those energy places for a long time to try and keep the earth from ascension, from going through what we're about to go through with this fifth dimensional frequency ascension in December of this year. They've lost because we're going into that ascension. It doesn't matter what they do. It's not going to stop it. But what we do need to do now is to clean this up. So the earth is a living being. This is why we see planets that have no life on them, no atmosphere. The earth is alive, and this is her soul frequency. This is the meridians are the ley lines. Where the very powerful dragon lines, the biggest of the ley lines, the most powerful of the ley lines cross, you get her chakra points. So I'm going to a beautiful place in the middle of Australia called Uluru, which is a large rock, which is in the crossing of two dragon lines in Alice Springs in December for the Cosmic Consciousness Conference. Don't say that quickly.
It's supposed to be a very powerful spiritual spot.
It is a beautiful, beautiful place. I did go there. You're not supposed to step on the rock now because it is a sacred space for our original people. But back when you were allowed to, I did go up there in 2000, and it was completely silent up there. and I've spoken to other people who've been to the other chakra points on the earth, and they've said the same thing. There is an eerie silence in these chakra crossing places. I went up with about 20 people. There was not a bird sound. There was no wind sound. There was no noise. No one spoke. It was silent. And it was incredibly profound. I won't be going up there again. Obviously, I will respect the elders and the original people and not step on it. But I'm really looking forward to going up there and feeling that energy again. And I'm just so overjoyed that I'm actually going to be in that chakra space as the harmonization comes in. So I think it's going to be pretty spectacular.
You're going to be
I
there in
wanted to go
December?
in December. Yeah, I'm going
Oh,
in.
wow. Very
Yeah.
incredible. So, how many ley lines do you think there are? And I think I've heard different dowsers and people talk about that some of the ley lines are changing right now. Are new ones coming, old ones moving or shifting?
So to quote Rory Duff, he's got a wonderful book, A Guide to Ley Lines, Earth Energies, Nodes, and Large Vortexes. And I read that book and just was wowed by it. So I really suggest people have a look. According to Rory, we had 6 pairs. No, 3 pairs. I always get the 6 and the 3 confused. I think it was 6 pairs of dragon lines up until 2012. And then in 2017, just before this crazy stuff happened, another dragon line appeared. 2018, another dragon line appeared. 2019, another dragon line appeared. So we went from, I think it was 6 pairs, to having an extra 3. Obviously, this is an ascension process. This is massive to go to have. These are huge lines. These lines are massive. So to have that,
When you say massive, so are you talking miles, kilometers? Are they
they
wide or
really
long or?
they wrap around the entire earth. In fact, I'll show you here. There's some of the dragon lines on Rory's cover of his book.
Oh,
So
wow.
these are the dragon lines. These are how large they are. These are enormous.
Okay,
So
yeah. So does
and
he
so
douse to find these?
I get the impression it's a combination of processes. So he
Exactly
doesn't give
about
a
his
lot of
process.
detail because it's such a skinny little book. I don't think he just shows so much of it in there. But it is dowsing. But I've been told by others that there are other gadgets that he uses as well. So geobiologist, he seems very psychic, but I think he tries to keep away from that and sort of try to focus on the scientific aspects. I mean, we had those 3 new dragon lines come in before this mental stuff happened in 2020. So it went,
Mhm.
no wonder we're having the experience that we're having. I think, we're very close to.
Do you think they were afraid of all this awakening and this power that was emerging and they thought, oh, well,
100.
let's just see if we can squelch, let's see if we can lock people down and try to control them a little bit longer.
They've known for hundreds of years that this was coming. The occult sciences. So when you've got people in secret societies that use demonic entities to get information about the future, the demonic entities use the oral channels. They can speak to people. This is why people experience schizophrenia, because something has attached to them and uses the oral channels to speak to them and tell them to do terrible things to themselves or others. And trying to give someone a pill for that is ridiculous. They need other help. So these people that are in these occult societies that are the evil ones, they get this very clear information. They know that and the thing is, we're coming up to this time where these entities, yes, sorry,
Yeah. I'm like, woo, I felt that.
these entities can't comfortably exist on the surface already. As we come into this harmony time, they're going to find it more and more difficult to be here. So we will not see those in power or who were in power that are being puppeted, quite frankly, by these dark entities, or they've signed their souls to these entities or conjured them up in these rituals that I was forced to experience as a child in the crossing of ley lines and portals. They won't be able to do that work anymore. They won't be able to exist here in that way. This is why we're seeing the transhumanist approach. They want to create another vehicle for them to exist here. And so that I think that's part of the reason why we're looking at these robotics and, trying to create these things that can hold them in a different way.
Well, and let's clone you. And you don't mind if we take your voice or your image or your all these other things? Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
No, thank you.
No,
Um, no, thank you. Yeah, it's a very powerful time to be here. I believe that we really all came here to pour for what is happening now.
We absolutely are. And this is why everybody's ascending at such a high rate, I believe, as well, because I think humanity as a whole, we're assisted by all the energies that are they're increasing as well, but we're trying to get to the highest soul frequency we can just prior to December with this shift. So I have been absolutely gobsmacked by the ascension process that I've noticed with all the clients that I work with, my friends. It's amazing.
The future is positive. We have to really remember that, and not buy into the fear and the manipulation. And I do feel like there might be an attempt to try to squash something down between now and then. But I think the more awake, aware we are, the less chance of that. I don't think people are willing to put up with what we did.
I don't think it'll ever go back to where it was. I don't think they'll ever have that sort of power again,
No,
ever.
no, no. So, so how would we go about finding these lines? Since they're, I mean, obviously we can get Rory Duff's book, because I guess he's got them mapped out and
Oh,
can share that. Okay. Um,
so according to Rory again, and I also like to refer to Alfred Watkins, who was obviously, you know, the grandfather of this incredible knowledge. Although I believe ancient peoples have known about ley lines and earth energies and the portal places for, you know, since the beginning of time, or beginning of human existence at least. Rory describes that there's scarcely a square kilometre on the face of the earth that doesn't have at least one of these lines in it.
wow. So it is
Yeah.
just really energy crisscrossing all around the planet.
Yeah, and the easiest
Wow.
way to see them. So obviously Dowsers, a lot of psychics can feel a lay. They can feel an energy place. They either feel uncomfortable because there are some that are negatively affecting, or they feel wonderful in a place and they know that there's a higher frequency and they go there to meditate or whatever. So there's the feeling, there's this intuitive feeling that psychics get or people get. There's also, you can use your tools, you use your dowsing tools. I've heard of a geyser meter, I think, recently. That's another one as well. I don't know if I'm naming that correctly. But there's also visual aspects. So we have the same photoreceptors, light receptors called cryptochromes in the heavily expressed in the human retina, the CRY2 cryptochrome, the same as insects and birds. Now we know that insects and birds navigate using the ley lines. So these are magnetoreceptors. We have them in our retina. We can see ley lines.
So they
And
are in our retina. We're already programmed with this ability. So what do we need to do to develop that?
so I've been photographing ley lines for about 12 years, 10 to 12 years. I've been talking about it for a couple of years now, and yeah, I reckon it's probably a good 12 years now. So when I go out into nature, I've noticed that I'll be on a pathway. This is not something paved or bituminized. This is a natural pathway through nature. And I will notice that there's a perfect circle in front of me along this path. And then I'll notice there's another perfect circle a little bit further
As you
down.
see it through the photography lens?
See it through the eyes. And then I'll take photographs. And it has also happened in the opposite, in the reverse, particularly with the portal, the crossing spaces. So the portals often are quite large. The layers that I see typically on the south coast of South Australia are about 2 meters across. But they can be smaller or larger, but the ones that I've seen the most frequently and I've noticed and then photographed while I've been in them, and this is the thing, you have to stand within the lay to see it. You can't see it on the side. You have to be within. The portal spaces are more, I will take photographs because I just love taking photographs, and I'll go home and I'll go off and I'll have them on my computer screen in thumbnail form, go off and do something, come back, and then as I walk into the room and look at my computer screen, I can see this perfect circle, quite a large one. So 6, 7, 8 meters across, which you don't notice when you're in it. They're where the ley lines cross, and then you can actually look at the photograph and say, well, there's a ley line coming in there and one over there, and that's where the crossing point is. So it's
So where they cross is where a portal is.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what is special about the portal? Is it like a I mean, I can't help but think of um I don't know, the show about the Scottish the woman who traveled in time and went through the portal. So are these portals, are these doorways to other dimensions? What would you say? How would you describe a portal?
So the ley lines are not just the meridians of the earth, the energy lines of the earth, like we have meridians in our body, and the portal spaces aren't just her chakra points or her most powerful sort of energy points. These are all fifth dimensional frequency, which is why we're going into the 5D at the end of this year. As we go into this permanent harmony time, we come into the fifth dimension, because that is what the ley lines are bringing us into. That fifth dimensional frequency is also, it's like a train station. So where these lines, these tunnels of energy, 3D linear concentrations of sound and light frequency, as Rory describes them, where they cross, so it's like a tunnel. It's like a perfectly circular cylindrical tunnel across the earth. And plants and trees don't like to grow in them, so they show themselves, and this is why people make paths of them, animals make paths of them, because it's the path of least resistance. This is fifth dimensional frequency. So the fifth dimension is where all the other dimensions come off. So you've got all the dimensions that go to the demonic entities, the demonic realms, you've got the angelic realms. It's like a massive train station. So where you've got the ley lines crossing in a portal space, you've got doorways to all the dimensions. So it's a very powerful space. And this is why the ancient Egyptians, the Romans, the pagans, all of these people used to do rituals in these spaces. Because if you want to call up a negative entity, death opens a portal itself. So you would kill something in that space, it would open a doorway, and then through their black magic rubbish that they do, they would invert. So if you were to kill an animal or a child, that would open a doorway because the soul needs to move over. Then they would invert it and open something dark, open a doorway to a dark dimension, and pull in something that they would then want to try and control. So this is the reason why we have these horrible experiences where people like myself have described going through these rituals and experiencing and witnessing these terrible things. This is why these secret societies do these things in these spaces.
So
The
they can
problem,
access the negative entities to get information or control things or
that
worse.
they want control and power. And what's really interesting is the experiences that I had, a friend of mine, Fergus Greenwood O'Connor, shared a presentation of mine at the Glastonbury Festival on Saturday. The reason why they do this, and I was describing these sorts of rituals, they want power from these entities. They want the auric, like I said, demonic entities will tell these people what to do verbally. It's very easy to get instructions when it's verbal. When you're working in the angelic, like yourself and I do, it's all visual. I know some clairaudient psychics who are beautiful souls who get audible information. I personally, because of my experiences, don't trust the audible information. I've shut that down. I get mine all visually. But these people want to know what's coming up in the future. They want to have access to that. They want to be able to harm people through these entities that they pull up, because it gives them immense power. And so they do these terrible things in these spaces. What happens then, though? Those portals and those ley lines get programmed with this horrible energy, this terrible, and this is the reason why they do the torture as well, is because the sounds that the animal or child or person makes as the death process occurs calls those entities to those doorways, and then they can let them in. So there's a whole process to it. There's a whole reason for it. My passion now is to try and clear and cleanse and neutralize what these scumbags did when I was a child, and they've been doing it for a very, very long time, so that we're coming into this period over the next few years where we can cleanse and clear and then allow the earth to heal, so that we can move into a golden age, which I believe is happening. And you know, a lot of other cultures have prophesied this. Apparently, it's not just me. It's a lot of other people have spoken about this. It's a
Right.
very big thing, and it's going to be amazing. So we've got a lot of hope. We've got to ignore the fear porn that's being spread around, because that is literally them trying to continue this negative impression into the lays. We're moving into in a beautiful time. So the Lay Love Down movement, with my co-founder Ben Hawkes, he does a lot of work on this as well, is to help people to meditate, bring beautiful high frequencies into the lays, and to do so with energetic protection first, because again, you've got some pretty negative stuff in there. You've got to be careful to go in with the right intent, and to bring up those frequencies to, you know, to a higher level. And again, a lot of the dark entities that have existed on this earth for millennia are being sloughed off at the moment. The earth has had enough. She's had enough.
And how do you recommend they do a protection?
So for me, it's the greatest, most powerful protection we have is our intent to be protected. So if you believe that you're protected and you're a very strong individual, that's very, very powerful. We often work well with something that we do on a rhythmic level, like we might do daily or weekly or monthly, something that makes us feel that we're protected. So people smudge with sage, or in Australia, they take particular gum leaves and they'll burn those and do a ceremony with smudging, smoking the aura and the body. I use a 432 hertz tuning fork. I tap that and run that through my soul system every day. I recommend people could take their tuning fork with them. 432 hertz is very, very powerful. Tibetan singing bowls. They could also ululate, so take in sound vibration that's at a high frequency. So there's a song that Ben Hawkes wrote for the Lay Love Down movement called Time to Rise. And the lyrics are very powerful. It's only a minute long. And if you go into the lays and sing that song, that also forms a kind of protection because it's tuned to 432 hertz. So our voice would be a protective modality. You could take crystals. So there's so
Well,
many
and as
different.
dowsers, we can use our pendulum and clear ourselves, clear the space, clear whatever, right? I mean, we have tools, but thank you for sharing your tools. And when you were talking about the sound and how the sound can call in these horrific things, I get that, and I love that you're wanting to bring in the beautiful sound to heal, because I frankly believe that sound healing is the next wave of it's the future, it's the now, it is how we are healing, you know, through sound, through our voices, through yeah. Yeah, I don't even know if I have all the words for it, but I just know with all the fibers of my being that sound is incredibly healing.
It is. And this is again, you know, that the ley lines in my country are called song lines by our ancient people because they have a frequency that you pick up on. It's a sound frequency. It's a light and sound combination. And Roy also discusses that in his book, that Nikola Tesla was talking about how light and sound are interplayed and that they can create matter. So, you know, we are frequency beings. We are souls having a human experience. But even what feels physical, this matter around us, if you look at it from a quantum physics level, it's an atom with all this energy buzzing around it. So what we think is physical, it's really not solid. So yeah, sound
It's an
has
image. It's an image.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So sound frequency, I thoroughly believe also is going to be the new healing technique, or the most powerful healing technique we have.
there are already wonderful people doing sound healing just with certain sounds in their voices. There's a lady, I think she's in the Netherlands, that um, Gita, I forget the last name, but she does these incredible, she will breathe the sound, you know, make these incredible sounds over the body of a person, and they've been healed of all sorts of things, you know, and that's just one. And obviously tuning forks. Eileen McCusick has, you know, written a book and done quite a bit of biofield tuning, right? So that you're tuning the biofield. She can tell, you know, that certain distance out from the body and where the location is where the disharmony in your field is, and that when you strike the tuning fork and you hold it, it becomes in resonance with the perfected pattern. Like we know how to heal ourselves. We're designed that way, you know, but it's just having that beautiful the mirror, right? The tuning fork that so that we can get into resonance with our perfected pattern.
Absolutely. And again, you can't get that from a pill. But the only reason why that works for people is because they believe it will work. So faith is a big part of healing. But yeah, I've read a book called Hands of Light many years ago, and that just blew my mind. I always forget the author's
But I
name.
think Barbara Brennan, maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just completely changed my understanding of frequency, because but I believe she described taking out certain aspects of the aura that were in disharmony by waving them out with her own auric field.
Mhm.
And this is a form of telekinesis. So, we are infinitely powerful souls having a human experience, but even with our human body, we can use, it's like, these flywheel experiments that you see for telekinesis on YouTube, they're everywhere, where you can use your etheric energy to turn a wheel on a pin. People will be doing this more and more and more. I mean, there's lots of videos
I
if you look
haven't
at
seen that. That's pretty
it.
fascinating. Yeah.
And you actually push and pull with your etheric as you do it. So if you put your hands up together, one of my course members taught me this, was amazing. If you put your hands together against a light background, you'll actually see the etheric around the fingers. And if you watch long enough, you will see it pulses, it jumps across from finger to finger. That is the energy. Thank you, Natel, for teaching me this. That pushes the flywheel around. And you just need to be conscious of it and realize that it's working. It's much more powerful when it comes out of the palms, but once you've seen it happen, then you trust it and then it works.
Right, because I think we have these magnetic centers, in our palms, yeah, in the hands. So fascinating. Okay, so so tell us about the Lay Love Down project.
So that project at the moment,
What's the vision here?
so the vision is that we en masse, those of us who are aware of the power of frequency and
So we're
aware of what.
talking to you, Dowsers.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm so honored that you asked me on your program, darling. I really appreciate it. Or sorry, not program, on your platform. Because it's not a program. We are trying to inspire enough people to go out into the ley lines, or to even do meditations remotely. We're doing one of those on the 6th of August, to put in, to use their intent to manifest beautiful positive frequencies for healing for the earth, for freedom for the earth and all living beings on this planet, for healing, for balance and neutrality, to undo the damage that's been done by these, creatures like the ones that I grew up with. Because it's time for us to take over. They've lost the war. In my opinion, they've already lost. And I think they knew that they were going to lose hundreds of years ago, and that's why they set up this entire structure and did their own culture programming and all the rest. It was lost before it even started. But we're doing the cleanup process, and then comes the education and the true healing that needs to happen. But this needs to be cleaned up first. So we don't need to worry about things like a certain, I don't even know if I dare speak of it on YouTube, but we're being told that we have to be carbon neutral. We are carbon. This is ridiculous. Do we want a dead planet? We there's a certain corporation that has a certain name that involves black and rock. This is what they're trying to do. They're not going to succeed. And the earth is behind us on this. She just needs us to activate to help her to do this work. Yeah. So
Well,
that's
yeah, I think we as humans are kind of optional in her opinion. Nature wins every time. So yeah,
so
yeah.
the project is, I mean, we do we're doing these mass meditations now. We do master classes. I did teach a ley line master class where you can learn how to visually see them. I give a lot of examples. So that's on the Save the Ley Line, Save the World, Rumble and YouTube channels. It's also online as well. If you look up my YouTube and my Rumble and BitChute channels, it's just under my name, Rachel Vaughan.
Rachel Vaughan, Vaughn. Yeah.
H-A-A-N at the end.
Okay, spell it again.
Vaughan. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Ghan. Yeah. Rachel.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
Love.
yeah.
So,
We
I
could
mean,
spell.
those masterclasses are beautiful. Man, Trevor Wee also came on to teach about intuitive sensing, which the Dowsers are probably really fascinating. He's incredible wisdom. Sorry, he didn't teach. He uses etymology in a very clever way. So I didn't say that, Trevor. I said you'd shared your wisdom. He doesn't like the word teach, which is fair enough. So we just need enough people to recognize the significance of this and to get on board. It's growing exponentially at the moment. We're on many socials. So, and you know, there are people all over the world doing very similar projects because this is what people have been called to do. This is
Well,
why
I think the collective is getting the memo.
absolutely, yeah. So this is just one part of a worldwide movement that's going on at the moment where people are doing these mass meditations and bringing this incredible, you know, high level frequency, love frequencies into the lays for healing. Yeah.
Okay, so just to clarify, so you're recommending that people get out either individually or in groups or all of the above and find ley lines in their area, and especially if they can find the places where they cross, and then to sing this beautiful song, right? The Lay Love Down song that is on the website, or bring your tuning forks or sing, I guess, whatever, you are called to sing
Yes. Yeah.
joyfully, right?
You don't have to sing our song, sing whatever feels right for you. But again, that 432 hertz or 528 hertz is a really good place to start. So that's a certain frequency. So it works really well on your own. But when you sing together with a group of people, your heartbeats will harmonize. This is something that a dear person taught me recently. So that is so powerful. So we connect energetically with others when we sing to the point where our heartbeats will synchronize. That is amazing. And when
Oh,
you
it's
think of,
beautiful. And I think it makes this spiral. If you've ever done toning with
oh
people,
wow,
oh
right,
man, the energy just feels like a big, beautiful spiral. You can
oh
hear
wow,
it in the voices. Yeah. And
I'm writing.
toning, for those of you who don't know, I basically call it like doing the vowel sounds, the ah, the e, the o, the oo, and they all correspond to different parts of the body, but it's so beautiful and powerful to do that together.
I'll have to try
So
that.
yeah, and once you do it and you get going, and then sometimes you're called to make other sounds, and there's a lot of really ancient sounds that you can tone that are just very powerful.
It's interesting because I've been trying to learn to sing recently, and it's the vowel sounds that you can carry. The consonants you can't carry.
No.
It's very interesting. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look that one up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very, I love it. Yeah. Okay. So we're finding our ley lines. We're going out there and we are singing. We're bringing the joy. We are just bringing the love, the light, the joy, and connecting with the earth in that line. So yeah, I encourage everybody to get together and do it. I'm in a pretty, I'm in the thick of the city, so I'm sure there probably are ley lines, but there's so much pavement and buildings where I'm at. But maybe locally we can get together and do that.
Well, to
The other,
find ley lines in urban environments, almost every church is built on a ley line. In fact, it's usually built on the crossing of powerful ley lines. Almost every Masonic hall is built on the crossing of ley lines, a portal space.
wow.
Most
Wow.
most arenas, military bases, though I don't suggest you go out to a military base to do this work. All of these very significant places, courts where law courts, but they're not true law. Hospitals, again, as I mentioned, mental health facilities, sanatoriums, jails.
Wow.
These are all
Wow.
these are all intentionally placed, houses of parliament, on the portal spaces, the most significant portal spaces. They do this on purpose.
Wow. Okay, so how would we go to that place and do that? I mean, in a church, I guess you could probably kind of go in and, sing your song.
Yeah, yeah.
The or yeah, stand on the courthouse lawn and
So you want to do it in a way that you don't bring in the wrong kind of attention. But, in a way also, if you are to do that, people will be curious and they might come up and ask, what are you doing? And you might say, well, this is part of this project. You don't have to tell them about the nitty
Right.
gritty of
That
why
we're
it's being
we're
done, but
bringing love in.
bringing love in. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Which
Yeah.
was, a bit of genius on Ben's behalf, my co-founder, because, he really thought about it. This is something that people can do to bring other people in, create community, uh, connect with people. And it's those places that need the help the most because they're the ones that are being used and co-opted and abused the most. In my country, they specifically do them. They put these arenas and things on the what were once called Bora rings, really powerful ceremonial spaces where the original people would do their ceremony to keep the ley lines healthy and neutral. And there are many different names. Bora rings, just one of the most common names. In the UK, they built the churches, the Catholic churches, on the ritual stones that the pagans used to do the sacrifices on. They used that as their foundation stone.
Whoa.
A Freemason, every church in the UK, a Freemason would go out and do a sighting of a lay with a sighting rod. Now, these are visual terms, so ley lines are very much visible. It's just that people were told that you can't see them, that they're invisible lines. They are not. They are visible. They show themselves in nature because trees and plants don't like to grow within them. They create these beautiful, perfect circles where you don't normally find perfect circles in nature. And I've shown this technique to hundreds of course members now, and the majority of them can see them. So it's not just I don't have tunnel vision, even though I was trafficked through tunnels as a child, and I recognised the irony of I had that experience, and now I'm talking about tunnels on the Earth's surface. But a lot of other people can see them also, and we've publicly put out the master classes, and people can see them there as well. And the portal spaces where they cross, you won't get trees or plants growing in there apart from ground covers. So if you're going for a walk along a natural path, and you can see the circles, you can see you're walking a lay, and then you suddenly come upon a clearing that is probably a portal space. So my suggestion is to stand within the center of that if you feel comfortable doing so, and do a 360 of photographs, because then you can really study the photographs afterwards and see where the lays are coming in, and then see on the 180-degree version of that, is there a marking where you can see the lay going in the other direction? And that's where you get to find your marking points, and then use your dowsing equipment, or do it the other way around. Use your dowsing equipment to find the vortex or the portal space and take photographs and see if you can see the
So
lays.
do you consider a vortex the same thing as a portal?
I know my terminology is not what most people would use. So yes, to me, they're the one and the same, but I've been told that's not the case. So for me, a portal is a crossing of lays. I think people
Okay.
also call them vortexes. So yeah, apologies.
So in Arizona, I mean, vortexes are all over, but in Arizona, there's a town called Sedona that is very famous for, it's close to the Grand Canyon, but it's very famous for all these vortexes. And you can tell because, well, you can feel it if you're sensitive, but the trees will be twisted and bent, whenever there's that energy vortex.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So,
that's what Alfred Watkins would describe as a mark tree. So I haven't even touched on this yet, but you will get paradolic images. This is the way that psychiatry turns everything that's psychic into some sort of pathology or something that you just write off as some fantasy. The Romans used to call the spirit of the forest the green man. And they used images of the green man in the Catholic churches when they used their sacrificial stones as part of their foundations to get the Romans and the pagans into the church spaces. So the green man is the spirit of the forest will show itself within the marked trees and plants around a ley line because they are fifth dimensional entities like fairies. But fairies aren't just winged creatures, they're sylphs. Fairies come in many, many different forms, and they try and get our attention to pay attention to the ley lines by showing humanoid faces in trees, in plants. So you'll see spirit speaking to you in these spaces. Um, so when you see these twisted trees, that's what Alfred Watkins would describe as a mark tree, because the
mm,
trees that grow with they try not to grow in the portals and lays because they do become quite twisted, but when they do grow in them, it's obvious. So that's
Right.
another sign.
Well, and I think a lot of us have had the experience of, coming across those remarkable faces in trees. So that's called a paradolic or a marked tree.
A marked tree, yeah. So what
Okay.
people talk about marked trees, back in
So there's a ley line there, or there's some kind of a powerful energy line there. So it's just trying to get our attention and direct us there.
when you see it, pay attention. I've got a multitude of photographs of these faces in the bark of the tree, which is a permanent thing, but I've also got a multitude of photographs of the leaves making up a face as the wind moves them around. And I share them in my course as well. This
Wow.
is not just a paradolic image. It's not a nebulous stimulus, as they say on Wikipedia. This is the spirit of nature communicating with us. Pay attention. This area that you're in is highly significant. Feel it, connect with it. Share the images that you find of these paradolic images with like-minded people. You don't want to go too crazy with it because people don't understand and they'll get freaked out. Because it's really powerful. We have such a connection with nature that has been taken from us by Western society. Ancient cultures have known this forever, but it got taken away because the secret societies wanted to keep it for themselves and they wanted us all to be dumbed down, fluoride occluded.
Well, abuse and control of power.
Exactly, exactly.
So
But they won't be able to hide this sort of thing for very much longer because it's coming out everywhere.
it is. People are waking up and their eyes are opening. So absolutely. Wow, this has been so, we could keep talking. This has been just really fascinating, and I thank you so much. So, um, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
So if they want to find my website, it's www.number6science, so 6thscience.com. It's a pun on sixth sense. I'm also on Rumble, BitChute, Telegram, YouTube under Rachel Vaughan, as spelt earlier. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter as well, but be very careful of impersonators. So on Telegram, I always share my links under each post. So if they want to find me on Telegram, t.me, Rachel Vaughan. So that would be the best way to find all my links because I have a lot of impersonators, unfortunately. This is the problem with speaking out about things. People then try and make you look like you're selling crypto or coin or stupid stuff that I have nothing to do with. And I do not send private messages on Telegram or on Facebook. That's not me.
Okay. And so you offer, you have a what, increasing your psychic abilities class coming up.
I do.
You want to
So
talk about that?
yes, so if you want to learn to see ley lines, I talk about the cryptochromes and the ways that we are physically capable of being able to see them. I give a lot of examples and a lot of history behind what ley lines are, the fact that they're visible. I also teach about energetic protection, how to read auras, which is a lot easier than people recognize, and how to find your soul purpose and all the different soul frequency levels and what each of those mean as far as what your best vocation will be, because a lot of people are very lost at the moment because we've come to the end of a specific cycle. We're coming into a golden age. We're not beholden to old soul contracts anymore, and old karmic ties are dissolving. The veil itself is dissolving. So this is a time to find out what is your soul purpose, why are you here, and that's the part of the course that gives me the most joy because I see people then finding their path and doing what they're meant to come here to do. So that starts on the 6th of September. So if people just want to contact me via my website, then they can
Okay.
enroll.
And so now will that be at a time that works for people in the States?
So the one that's coming up in September is better for the UK group or Europeans. The one in November works very well for people in the States.
Okay. All right. So all our folks in the UK sign up for the September one, and November is for the US. And you also do psychic readings,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah, yeah. Which again, my greatest joy with that is also helping people find their soul purpose. So a reading generally, I will read the person's aura and let them know what what that usually means for them, which direction that they would tend to go with that one. Yeah.
And
But I
so,
stuff too. I'm a medium, and I see the future. So yeah, which is what most psychics do. I mean, people don't go to a psychic to find out what's been and what's happening now. They want to know what's coming up in the future. So I do my best to be as accurate as possible. Yeah.
well, yeah, and it seems like our timelines are shifting so quickly right now. But they're about to converge, right?
So I keep it's interesting what's happening, because I really didn't believe in this 5D thing until Rory Tuff spoke about this with Pam Gregory. It's like, oh, that's what everybody's talking about. Okay, now I understand. So I do see there's definitely shifts in timelines, but I keep being shown that by October this year, the vast majority of the world recognizes that we've been through an experiment in the last 4 years. That's, to me, where the convergence point is. We come together, because those that are not aware of it yet they're going to get such a shock. The poor
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I think it's headed. That's a very powerful nexus point in timelines.
Yeah, I agree. So if someone wants to contact you for a psychic reading, they would contact you through your website.
Through my website as well. Yeah.
Okay. And if someone wants more information about the Lay Love Down project, what is that
Yes.
website?
So if they go to www.laylovedown, all one word, obviously LEY, laylovedown.com, that's our website for Lay Love Down. And yeah, it'd be wonderful if people would sign up for that as well.
Yeah, that's something that anyone and everyone all over the world can participate in,
Exactly. Yeah. So
wherever you are.
yeah, and we also, Ben's doing amazing work. So he's also got someone that has a mapping tool that will be teaching a class on that, so that people can then find their lays in their local area and then go and
That's
map it
great.
themselves. They might be able to find the main one there, but share with us other ones that they found through visual techniques or through dowsing. That's what we want to do. We want to map them all.
Hey, fantastic. All right. So now we've got our information of ley lines, the things that are changing, the incredible change that's going to be happening not only in October, but with ley lines opening up and coming into harmony in December. And we can participate in that process to bring more love in.
Exactly. And win this war.
So, well, it's already won.
It is. It really is.
It's already won. The future is positive. Yes. Thank you so much, Rachel. This has been amazing, and we'll have to have you on again because I'm sure people will have so many questions. And just thank you so much. I'm very grateful. Enjoyed this so much. Thank you.
You're telling. Thank you.